Ready? Thanks, John. Hello and welcome to another episode of Claret and Brew. I'm your host, Dan Rowlandson, joined by Matt Kendrick and John Townley, our weekly three-person podcast to talk about whatever we like in the Villa world. This week, I thought we'd keep it European-related. John, you and I met up on Monday to do our Q&A, and we had a chat about what we're going to do for Claret and Brew this week. We wanted it to be about Europe in some shape or form, and you suggested European away days. You wanted to talk through some of the ones that you've been on. Matt, we would kind of ask you to chip in here with your European experiences, but famously, you didn't have many, did you?
I filmed a great video on a camcorder once at Vienna Zoo. And it was like...
Camcorder, wow.
You can imagine how shaking it was. I was trying to relate it back to Villa, so I was making, I don't know, penguin puns and all this kind of stuff. But sadly, I think that's been lost to the midst of time. But if we can find it, I'll give it to you. You can insert it in a future podcast. But that's the kind of extent of my experience. Rapid Vienna away twice, lovely city. But yeah, it always gets me. I'm going to just sit here kind of seething with jealousy and envy again with John today. We've been over it before. I'm proud of the lad, but I am a little bit envious. But let's hear all about it, John.
Yeah. So John, you've picked out. Was it what, top 5, top 10? What's the format here? What are we doing?
We could do top 5.
How many have you done, just for context? How many have Villa done in Europe now?
There's done 13 overall, I think.
Okay. Since Emery came, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Not under Gerrard.
Yeah, those Dean Smith European away nights they hit differently. Yes, the 13 aways. How many of those have you been to? You've been to all 13?
No, 12.
12. Okay.
Zrinjski Mostar was the only one that we didn't go to.
Okay, right, fair enough. So your top 5 then, out of 12, 7 away games, unlucky not to make the cut. What's your 5th favourite then?
Well, I do lie a little bit. I've got a top 4, so 5th will be a bit of a guess. But it's either between the second match that we played against Club Brugge, either that or because we won 3-1, and there's a bit of a theme in this that wins don't really count for much in my list, or it's PSG away, but I'm going to give it to Brugge just because we won that game 3-1. I don't know quite what the mood was like in, back home sort of thing, like watching it in front of TVs. But out there, that really did feel like one of the best wins that we've had under Emery in Europe. And it was a great night because that nearly pushed us into the quarterfinals, right? So that was the round of 16 game, but you win that 3-1 away. And it was actually a really tight match. And what I liked most about it, actually, was Mings kind of redeeming himself. Obviously had the handball in the first game that we played over there last season, but then made that crucial, goal-saving clearance, the little flick around the post.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember that. Yeah. So some of these games, there's like moments where you kind of may miss, but I think for Mings, that's definitely something, that us fans can't take for granted. We did have a home game to come after that, so that wasn't like completely like saving us in the competition, but it definitely went a long way to helping us because then we scored 2 goals after it. So that was a really nice trip. And I don't know if any of you have been to Brugge, but it's a very nice place. And I would
show it off.
He's barely left Rally Regis, mate.
Look, I don't know whether does it look like I'm wearing misty eyed because I've had a sip of my tea and my glasses are steamed up. So I'm not crying behind here, I promise. It's just.
It's funny you mentioned Bruges. Obviously, from our perspective, Matt, we're going to be talking about these games as we watched them on telly probably, and maybe did a podcast about them. But as soon as you mentioned Bruges, I just think Mings. Like I associate that fixture with that player for those 2 games.
Yeah, that goal line clearance was something else, wasn't it? And I think Ali McCoy was the only person certainly back. Yeah. Well, I don't know. But did you see it with your naked eye, John, at the time?
No, not a chance. I was trying to break my back to see a TV screen behind me, and then someone said he flicked it around the post, and I was like, "What did he?" Like, I didn't want to give him the credit that he does. Well, I didn't want to give him the credit at the time in case it was like, "No, what you're talking about? I didn't touch it. Going off target." But
Ali McCoy didn't stop telling us, did he? If I remember right, it's like, I'm sure he's took that around the post. He has.
Yeah.
That handball, by the way, the first one, the picking up of the ball, I've never seen anything like it. This is what I like about doing this show. Like we just said, let's do it European related. And we're now talking about Club Brugge, Mings' clearance and that handball, and it's all just flooding back.
I had a controversial take about that.
I seem to remember, yeah, you
And
didn't
this may
blame
be
me for it,
very
did you, or
controversial.
something?
No, I blamed him for it. But I just thought it was such a bizarre error, and an error which I don't think should be I don't think that should be something that footballers are kind of penalised against, in my opinion, because it's clearly such an obvious mistake. But anyway, so I didn't really take that away from him, because actually on the pitch, I thought he played very well in that match. But then he goes and picks the ball up, completely unaware of what's going on. But hey, yeah, concentration, I suppose, is the issue there.
I don't know why. I don't know why it reminds me of it, because Tyrone Mings clearly knows the rules. But I might have referenced this at the time. Do you remember? Have you ever seen that famous clip? I think it was like the 1974 World Cup or something, and like this defender from Zaire just breaks the wall. He doesn't know that I don't think he's ever been taught what a free kick is. So he's in the wall and he sees somebody place the ball. And the bloke goes to take the free kick, because he steps back to shape himself. This
runs after
fella
it.
from the wall just breaks the wall and just boots it up the field. I'm just thinking, surely footballers know the rules, basically.
Yeah.
And I do like a redemption arc story. Was it Mings' first Champions League game or something?
I think so.
Yeah, definitely. It must have been.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
And he battled back after a long injury, and it was just so heartbreaking. So to see him set the record straight, I suppose, was quite a nice bit of closure on it, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we enter number 4 on your list. So you've got the top 4 really, because you had Bruges or PSG there. So presumably PSG is not in your 4. So do you want to crack on with that?
Yeah. So number 4, I've gone with Legia away, which most people would be like, "What? Why?" That's our first away trip and we lost. Oh, actually, it was our second, because we did go to Hibernian, didn't we? We can't forget that.
That doesn't really
was the
count.
start. It was the start of our European journey. Yeah, I went with Legia because
That is a road shout.
You have to be there to understand why, if that makes sense. A lot of the away Villa fans probably agree with me. Maybe not in terms of how the Polish police treated them. They treated them. There was no issues, but it was more they were ready to treat them if anything happened. But the fan display inside the stadium, the noise, I don't think I will be able to hear another noise like that in a different stadium. I don't think Fenerbahce will even beat that. The noise was deafening. It was just constant whistles. You had no idea who was winning. Well, you presume it was Legia that was winning, but when we scored 2 of our goals, there was no break in this noise. It was an incredible experience, to be honest. The fan display was really good. It was also 20 degrees at the time as well, which helped. I think it was a September match, but it was still really hot over there in Poland, of all places. We went to a bar beforehand, Lewandowski's bar, so that's his own bar in Warsaw, which is great. Yeah, it was just a very cool experience. Obviously, it's the first one as well, so kind of made more of it than the other ones, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of memorable things happen on that trip. So now really
Lewandowski poltergeist in your house that as soon as you mention the name, it just kind of starts knocking things over, or what?
That was a light.
I wasn't expecting a defeat to make the list. I thought these would all be European away wins, though. But there was a stage, wasn't there, in Europe we were concerned about our away record. So probably reasonable to suggest that some of those might not be wins. To be fair, but that first one, it wasn't a great result, was it? It was a feeling of, we're back in Europe and we're ready for. Oh no, we're not ready. We've kind of crumbled under the pressure of that bad atmosphere, that big atmosphere. So yeah, I'm surprised that made the list. Did any of yours, Matt? I know you didn't do many, but would a defeat make the list? Is it about the game, or is it about the experiences around it?
It's very different circumstances, this, Dan, isn't it? Because
you lost on both.
if you're watching it on the telly, it's probably about the result, isn't it? You know,
that's what I mean. Yeah,
we'd hoovered the lounge carpet so it looked good. I closed the curtain so the sunlight wasn't coming through. I wasn't getting any kind of distracting shadows on the telly. So it was brilliant. We lost 6-0, but it was just so perfect high definition.
The vibes were great. Yeah.
Great vibes. Sorry, this was a really small airport that we went to, the smallest I've ever been in, and I don't think you'd get a smaller airport than this. It was called Modlin. I presume a lot of Villa fans went to that one as well. I swear to God, it was just like one runway and a couple of shops. I'd never seen anything like it before. But just as a side point,
that's number 4 on the list. Number 3 is the airport.
Yeah, number 3, I've gone with another defeat. So Monaco. But again, I think people can understand Monaco.
Yeah, that was a grim game, wasn't it?
I don't remember the game. I'm not really basing this on the game. I'm just basing on where I went. What holidays I had. No,
thought you were really busy.
yeah, there was some odd stuff going on out in Monaco, to be honest. From a normal match day, the press conference was next to a karate class. So when I was walking past kids just doing karate in this stadium that they obviously play at, I presume it's where everyone that lives in Monaco goes to do activity, because it's obviously so like
a leisure
built up,
centre.
and it's basically like a leisure centre, and it's like a maze down there. It's really hard to explain. In the stadium, you get lost everywhere you go because it's not built for this. I saw Paula Ratcliffe when I was crossing the street. So basically, I was walking with some of the reporters and some Villa fans. We were having some chats with the Villa fans and stuff, saying, love the podcast. Turned around and Paula Ratcliffe's crossing the road. So I was like, oh, okay. And then there was also someone else, which I now know who it was. I'm pretty sure anyway. At first, I thought there was someone off the Chase. I think we had this conversation before.
I remember this. Yeah.
So now I've closure. I say closure. I think it's someone off Dragon's Den instead.
Okay.
But I saw their face somewhere. So, yeah. Two kind of celebrity spottings.
Who was it in the end? Was it like James Caan or Theo?
Yeah, I think it was James Caan, yeah. I think, I don't want to get that wrong, so if he doesn't live in Monaco, then...
John, is that all you've got? You've been to Monaco and you've not seen anybody off Chase. So I met the Dark Destroyer at Smethwick Galton Bridge a couple of months ago. So
you did actually, didn't you?
Wait, really?
Send me that picture. Yeah, I still remember that on Twitter.
Yeah, just lots going on. And then I think I saw that story before about me going to the press conferences. That was hell. Really was. Terrible decision for me.
Is that when you walked up a massive mountain or something?
Yeah, I was walking up in Monaco Hills for an hour, which it sounds pretty good, to be honest, but I can't really describe how terrible a decision that was. I had new shoes a couple of days ago for my birthday, which were white, and then they were covered in blood at the back because I had my ankles like ripped apart by trying to climb these hills. And I mean, like, Jesus, don't cry for me. It's not that much of a difficult job, but yeah, in that moment, terrible decision. It took me about 2 hours to climb because I had to stop halfway through. My back was breaking and it's chucking it down with rain or slipping over. It was a bad decision.
Well, why was that then? Well, surely not everybody else who went to Monaco went through up a massive hill.
No, I think everyone...
Why were you going that way?
I saw, okay, so it takes me an hour to walk. Like, I can get through that, grab my lunch on the way, and, like, kind of kill time that way. Everyone else, I presume, would just get a car up there, because I know it's just stupid to... Like, this wasn't even... It was on Google Maps, but it wasn't like a footpath. It was literally, I was walking in mud up... it was like a very small forest, basically, up in these hills.
Did you get lapped by Paula Radcliffe on your way up?
Would you have done that, Matt? Would you have gone climbing up hills on the way to a presser?
I wouldn't have thought so, mate. We had a bigger expenses budget now. I'd probably have a helicopter, I'd have thought.
So we've got a list of 5 games then. The first one, Club Brugge. The other, Legia Warsaw and Monaco, 2 defeats in Europe, but for the experience, which I do understand. Was there any flashiness to Monaco? Because I associate that with Formula One and casinos.
Yeah.
So I'm not suggesting you went to the casinos, but did you get that vibe of, I'm in an expensive area? And stuff.
No, definitely. Yeah. I stayed in Nice, and you get the trains. I don't know. It was like 20 minutes to Monte Carlo, and the views there are incredible. You obviously have all of the flashiness, the yachts, the casino, as you say there, all the different designer shops. I was about to say outlet. Then it's not an outlet. Yeah, no, it was great. The thing was, it was obviously it was January, so the weather wasn't particularly good. Yeah, don't get me wrong, yeah, it was great, but then obviously we were terrible too, so that's why it's only third.
Okay, all right, give us number 2 then.
Number 2 was a win. It was Leipzig away in the Champions League.
Yeah.
So yeah, this one's a bit more about the game. So obviously we had a late winner. John Duran scored an outrageous goal. It was our pot 1 team away. I actually think I said Club Brugge was one of our best away wins. I think this one, Club Brugge was probably actually the best away because it was in a knockout. But this at the time felt like our best away performance under Emery. And I think that's probably still true, to be honest. I don't think we've been particularly good away from home in Europe, really. But Leipzig, we played well. Scored, conceded 2 goals, but I think both of them were quite good, actually. Apart from when there was one actually when Carlos, I think, messed up. I can't quite remember. But yeah, it was like Christmas sort of time as well over there. So Christmas markets, lots going on. I think any Villa fan that went over there would have really enjoyed themselves. Yeah, obviously I was there to work, but I did see lots going on. Lots of Villa fans out in the streets, with the beer and stuff. So that was really nice. Really nice experience. Just kind of a perfect away day, really. Away period in Europe. So very much enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't remember loads about that Leipzig game. Would that have been like one of the fifth or sixth game in the league phase or something?
I think it was
Christmas.
Yeah, must have been. I remember doing a little walk and talk outside, saying like, "Well, if you can get a result here, and then you can get something at Monaco, we would definitely finish in the top 8." And we, did the Leipzig part. The match itself, I think we played quite well, but pretty sure. Well, one of their goals was well taken. I think it was like Baumgartner or something. But then Carlos, I'm pretty sure, made a mistake with Martinez. It was like lack of communication or something. But anyway, we won.
This week, so we'd have done post matches for all these. I'm struggling to remember some of the finer details. It's mad,
remember Barkley scored, deflected goal.
Yeah, I remember the goals. Yeah, I remember the goals, but like you saying, Carlos and Martinez had a mix-up. I'm like, did they? I don't know.
I think they did.
Yeah, might have done.
Where was it? Where you got collared by the captain on the plane?
Oh, yeah, I forgot that.
I thought that was going to be in there.
This is going to Leipzig. Yeah, Captain.
Was that Leipzig?
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, that was on the way to.
That justifies second place then.
Berlin. Yeah, it should probably be first, but I completely. Yeah, when I was doing this, I forgot what I was thinking about the matches. That
doesn't sound like it. All we've heard about is climbing up hills and fall a cliff.
Captain Phillips over my shoulder there. Completely surreal moment. Literally, I thought I was in so much trouble or something is going so badly wrong here. Mr. Townley.
Get your life jacket on.
I don't know. Am I being deported? What's going on? No, but it was just a chat about Villa, and he's a really nice guy. So hopefully I can see Captain Phillips again on a European journey.
Number one surely must feature a game that I'll be stunned if it wasn't in your top 5. Is it Lille?
Lille, yeah. Lille's my number one. We did obviously. Well, we lost that game in 90 minutes, didn't we? But won it on penalties. I think that's probably my favourite game covering Villa, to be fair, so far.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah. There's not much more that you can ask for, really. Like a late goal to take it to extra time to start, because we were being knocked out, weren't we, before Cash?
Yeah.
Before Cash scored, and it felt like that was it, really. 2-0 down, like, we've really blown this. Lille, we obviously won at home 2-1, and there was kind of those feelings of like, we probably should have run 2-0 in the end. But really, Lille are a very good team. And I remember McGinn saying after the game that they got some really good players. And he was, bang on. They really should have probably gone through, to be fair, after that second leg. But no, Cash scored his goal. Extra time happened. I'm pretty sure they either hit the bar or hit the post, or came very close to scoring in the last moments of extra time as well. I think it was Diakite. And then goes to penalties, and Martinez does his magic, and everything that happened there, like the yellow cards that Martinez got, everyone's no doubt all the fans, but in the press box we're all like, what's going on? He's already been yellow carded. This is, the referees forgot to send him off or something. It chaos. And then obviously we go and win the penalty shootout. You got all the away fans going berserk on my right. It was just perfect. Like, I couldn't ask for a better game than that. I don't mind kind of being taken through a little bit of suffering during a game, as long as we come out the right end of it, because it makes it better. So there was a lot of suffering there. There was some Villa analysts with us, and when we won, just celebrated with them because professionalism out the window there. But anyway,
do you think that, say Martinez, do you remember that moment and all good things he's done as fondly now, or do you think legacies get tainted? It's a bit like, if you've got a favourite restaurant that you always go to, but you have you used to take your girlfriend there, you have a messy breakup. Can you still remember that restaurant? You know what I mean? Can you still look back as fondly? I know Martinez is still here, and he's on this period of trying to kind of repair this kind of slightly broken relationship. But because I don't know whether Dan we were going to talk about some of the other games, but it's like the Duran kind of wonder goal against Bayern Munich, and it still probably has got to be right up there with our favourite ever memory. But is it, as a little bit of the edge being taken off it by the fact that he buggered off fairly soon after it?
For me, no, to be honest. And I say that sincerely, like I genuinely don't. And I think that's because I was also happy for Martinez to go this summer, and I was happy for Villa to get a replacement in, because I just thought it was kind of like a natural ending of, okay, well, if he wants to start something new, all right, he's 33 now. We can bring someone else in. It didn't happen. It's not as if Villa, didn't weren't in a place to replace him or try and sell him. We were happy to let him go as well. So I think it was a bit of a mutual thing, to be honest. Obviously, stories come out about Martinez wanting to go to United and all these different things, but realistically, it wasn't just player hands in transfer requests and refuses to play. Emery was the one who said to him, "You're not going to play against Palace because I don't think you're right to feature." So that's not me trying to excuse anything. What he did was kind of wrong, and hopefully he looks at that in hindsight and thinks, okay, that probably wasn't ideal to kind of put all my eggs in that one basket on deadline day. But I just think for what he's given us and the role he's played in the club's rise, I don't want to think negatively of him. And I do think this season we still have a massive chance for Martinez, to win a trophy, whatever it may be, and for Martinez to leave as that hero still. I think for a lot of fans, his kind of time at Villa will be kind of blemished a little bit by this, but I'm not going to kind of let that cloud that night in Lille or anything like that. Obviously, we didn't win a trophy then, but just the experience and what that was fantastic. And yeah, I don't know. I still think he's been a good servant to Villa. He could have gone after that World Cup. He could have said, "I'm not playing for you guys anymore. I want to go to Atletico Madrid. I want to go to Real Madrid. I want to go to Barcelona." But he didn't. He signed a new contract, and of course, he wanted to go in the summer. But he's also had a very good time with Villa, and I don't want to kind of now put him in the bin because of that one sort of error. I think he'll hopefully learn from it.
I'm very much of that school of thought as well, because even players who did leave, like Dwight York when he left in the late 90s, and I suppose Grealish has been the more modern day equivalent, ones that really hurt when you left.
Yeah,
the moments that they provided and supplied for us, they're almost kind of frozen in time for me. So I'd rather remember them exactly as they were. I've said this a few times on podcasts with Dan. Better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. But it's just, it's interesting, isn't it, really, where if you see some of those things, see some of those historic, traditional, nostalgic things through the prism of today, you're like, oh, God, it's almost like, why didn't you hang around? And Martinez is still here. Why didn't you hang around to do more, to give us more of that? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I just wonder what your take on it was, whether it diminishes it for you over time.
Yeah, I think just kind of quickly, like Isak, for example, with Newcastle, them winning that trophy against Liverpool was fantastic. But they don't want to see him celebrate that goal because it's just like, the way he treated us afterwards. But I don't feel that towards Martinez because it wasn't as severe as that. It wasn't as blatant as I'm going on strike. I'm not playing. I'm not going to do this anymore. He broke down at Villa Park. Villa clearly means something to him and his family and in his career, in his life. The guy's won the World Cup for arguably the best player that's ever lived. And we've had him as our goalkeeper during that time. That's a massive thing. And in history, we will be remembered as the club who gave him that opportunity, who helped Argentina win the World Cup, if you want to think of it like that. All those things for me can't then just be sort of, whatever, but he wanted to go on deadline day. Well, yeah, Villa were probably happy to sell him as well at some stage this summer to bring in a replacement, but it never happened. So, transfers have to work different ways.
I think with football, there's certain little elements, whether that be goals, celebrations, or even just moments that kind of go down in the folklore of the fan base. Like we're talking there about the Lille game. Leon Bailey was terrible last season, and he's now no longer at the club. But we all know that little clip, don't we? We have time. We have time.
We've still got time.
That's the Lille game, right? Comes on, clear head, playing well that season. It's really important that these little moments are, I don't want to say celebrated, but kind of remembered, I guess, that, players come and go and some of them go in worse situations than others, but those little things are always remembered. So, like you mentioned there, Matt, the Duran goal against Bayern, I thought we could bring up a couple of home games, to kind of take part in this episode a little bit. That Bayern game is an obvious pick, isn't it? The Duran goal, Pau Torres putting it through, Duran going against the odds. Christ almighty, we might be able to hold our own in this competition. That's a special moment. Yeah, he leaves and he's a bit of a basket case, but we still had that moment. It's still great to remember.
Yeah, it's all about moments, really, isn't it? Like, if you matches now are probably 100 minutes long. You ain't going to remember. I can barely remember what I've had for breakfast. Well, I can today. I've not had any. But so you've got to cling on to those things, I think, and not let If you said, "Well, I don't like John Duran's goal against Bayern Munich anymore," you're thinking, well, you've gone through a lot of kind of long throws, half cleared crosses, etc., Rotherham, etc., to think, well, we can't be that choosy, can we?
Yeah. Matt, Bayern Munich's an obvious pick for a home game. Have you got any other standout European matches at home? I mean, European full stop. Are we going back earlier than I may be thinking?
Yeah, I think it was the anniversary yesterday, wasn't it? The Inter Milan on pens. If we're going back, I'm here to provide the old man perspective as ever. That was just remarkable. And I think my memories of that are probably coloured a little bit by the fact. So when was that? I think it was 94. So I'd have been 16. I'd have had my life ahead of me. Look at me. I'd have had hair. I'd have been on the Holt end when it was like, I've described it before, haven't I? This kind of heaving mass of humanity. I think, I don't know whether I can still be charged and prosecuted for this, but I'd have been on the pitch at the end as well.
From the police.
They'll never recognise it as me, mate, to be honest. They might think, what's Ron Weasley doing invading the Villa Park's playing surface? But it was just so dramatic as well. Everybody loves a good penalty shootout, don't they? Well, they do when you're on the right.
When you win them.
Yeah. And like Phil King's celebration, obviously, when he stuck the winning penalty away, is one of those iconic moments.
Yeah.
And I think I'm right in saying that my then girlfriend, now wife, we did have a couple of breaks between then, to be honest. She's been to 2 games. One was Tranmere when we won on penalties, and one was that Inter game. So
that's cool.
I can't believe she just wanted to kind of pop that in a time capsule and always have good memories of Aston Villa. But yeah, that was probably a little bit like the Bayern match, I think, in a way, where you're beating kind of high level European opposition under the floodlights at Villa Park. It had been a while. Listen, Villa had, it wasn't the top competition. It was the UEFA Cup, but in the mid to late 80s, there'd been, English clubs were banned from Europe. So it was almost a sense that big nights, being back in the big time, it's back. And that was the way to announce it. I think it was very similar to the Bayern game in that way. I think, if I'm being honest, the Bayern game eclipses it for me because it was in the Champions League. It did have that history, same scoreline that we beat Bayern by to win the European Cup back in '82. My life's in a different place now. I was able to witness it and enjoy it with my son. And I sit in the top tier of the Trinity, so the chances of me pitch invading were very slim. So there is something about it. I mean, this is why the Bologna game, and I thought the atmosphere was okay. I thought it got going to a point, but it was nervy, a little bit jittery, a little bit kind of arsey, for want of a better phrase, towards Rodgers when he was giving the ball away. But I looked and I thought, 3 years ago, this game would have been, Villa Park would have been absolutely pumping. Whatever competition, whatever opposition, because it's a European night back at Villa Park. And I've spoken about this a lot on this podcast. I don't want entitlement to creep in. And I know why we were in that mood last Thursday. And people might say, well, Matt, you're wrong. It was fine. But I felt, the floodlights are on. We're playing European opposition. Villa Park should always be a cauldron for me. It should always be kind of spine tingling. So I'm hoping that now, we get a good result on Thursday, and I'm hoping that obviously the Fulham game kickstarts our season. But I want the Europa League journey to be as enjoyable and as almost partisan at Villa Park as the Champions League one was. Because I think, we are living in good times still. So I think I don't want us to get entitled. I want us to really, really enjoy it and play our part. I'd love to see John Townley's European adventures in numbers. Kind of how many grains of brown rice consumed, how many many litres of spring water drank, and all that kind of thing. So I think I'd like to see that in future. We just do that. I might do a quiz on it, to be honest.
Don't bother. I think our next episode might be the quiz next week. I think we'll check on that. One thing just to end, John. Little Hercules, I can see him above your right shoulder. Since you've been taking him to games, we haven't lost, have we?
Yeah, we haven't lost. Well, we lost to Brentford on penalties, but in a general game, we haven't lost. So, yeah, have that to everyone who's taking the miss.
I love that. All you Hercules deniers out there, have that.
Yeah. So, Yeah, I mean, I don't put it on social media or anything, but we did obviously say it on the podcast, didn't we? That I'm going to take him for the foreseeable future, see where we go for it. And yeah, we haven't lost in 90 minutes, so it's going very well. This is the reason. I think in the press conference on Wednesday, I was going to take the Dutch questions. I'm going to be there with my headphones on. Unai, I've taken Hercules, so if we get that translated into Dutch.
Right, we'll call it a day there. Gents, thank you very much for joining me. As per, really enjoyed it. Thanks to everyone who tuned into this episode of Claret and Brew. If you've got any European memories you want to share in the comments, we'll happily read through them all. On Wednesday, we'll have a preview for the Rotterdam game. Thursday, the post-match. Friday, the fan zone for Burnley. And Sunday, a post-match show as well. So thanks everyone for tuning in. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.